Every single day, life quietly offers you an invitation, not to hustle harder, not to chase perfection, but to return, to come back home, to presence, to clarity, to your true self beneath the noise. See, in Buddhism, self-improvement isn't about becoming someone you're not. It's not about turning your life upside down or creating a version of yourself that's flawless. It's about waking up, again and again, to who you already are. And that awakening doesn't usually happen in big, dramatic moments. It happens in the small, quiet choices. When no one's watching, when you choose to pause instead of scroll, to breathe instead of react, to show up instead of shut down. We often think change has to be massive, that to grow we need some kind of big breakthrough, a retreat, a reinvention, a reset. But the truth is, real transformation is subtle. It's soft. It's found in the way you begin your mornings, the way you speak to yourself, the way you choose to live your day. Let me ask you something. What if the first 10 minutes of your day mattered more than the next 10 hours? What if your mornings were more than a blur of alarms, emails, caffeine, and stress? What if they became a foundation, something sacred, that supported your peace, your focus, your purpose? In Buddhist thought, the beginning of anything holds power, and that includes your day. The first thoughts you think, the first actions you take, the first emotions you allow in. These are like seeds. Whatever you plant first will grow throughout your day. So if you begin your morning by rushing, reacting, checking notifications, you hand over your peace to the outside world before you've even grounded yourself. But if you begin with intention, even something as simple as sitting in silence for a few moments, stretching gently, or breathing with awareness, you start to build your day from the inside out. And that's what this series is all about. Not pushing you to be more, not adding another layer of pressure to your already full life, but gently offering you 7 small daily practices rooted in Buddhist wisdom that can shift your energy, your awareness, and your experience of life. One breath at a time, one choice at a time, one mindful moment at a time. These aren't hacks or trends. They're habits of presence, tools to help you return to what actually matters. So if you've been longing to feel more grounded, more alive, more you, not by doing more, but by living more intentionally, you're in the right place. In the next few episodes, we'll walk through 7 powerful yet simple practices you can integrate into your daily life. Not all at once, not perfectly, just with presence. Each one is a gentle invitation to rise, not through force or pressure, but through alignment. So, whether you're watching this in the early hours of the morning or winding down after a long day, take this moment to pause, to breathe, to remind yourself. You don't need to chase transformation. You only need to return to awareness, to clarity, to truth. Let's begin this journey together, one mindful step at a time. Build a morning that builds you. Let's talk about mornings. Not the rushed, blurry kind. Not the one where you wake up to a screaming alarm, check your phone before your eyes fully open, and immediately feel the weight of the day ahead. But the kind of morning that builds you, from the inside out. You see, how you begin your morning shapes everything. Your focus, your mood, your energy, even your self-talk. In Buddhist wisdom, the first hour of your day is like fertile soil. Whatever you plant, whether it's stillness or stress, intention or anxiety, will grow and color the rest of your day. So let me ask you, how are you starting your days lately? Are you reaching for your phone before you even say good morning to yourself? Jumping straight into emails, messages, the news, before you've even had a chance to breathe? If so, you're not alone. Most of us wake up and instantly connect to the outside world. And without realizing it, we're handing our peace, our center, over to everyone else before we've even connected with ourselves. But here's the thing. You don't need a 5 a.m. miracle routine or 2 hours of yoga to reclaim your mornings. You just need intention. Start small. Start slow. When you first wake up, try this. Instead of rushing to your phone, pause. Feel your breath. Let your body adjust.
Let your thoughts arrive gently instead of crashing in all at once. Even just 60 seconds of silence can create space for clarity. Next, move your body. Not to burn calories, not to hit a goal, but to remind yourself that you're alive and present. Stretch your arms overhead, roll your shoulders, walk outside for a few deep breaths of morning air. This is about reconnecting, not performing. Then, nourish your mind. Read a few lines from a book that inspires you. Write down a dream, a thought, or a feeling in a journal. Whisper a simple prayer or affirmation. Today, I begin with peace. Why does this matter? Because your morning sets the tone for everything that follows. If you start in chaos, you'll carry that energy with you. But if you start with care, your actions will reflect that grounded presence. Think of your morning as the first brushstroke on the canvas of your day. Make it intentional. Make it meaningful. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be long. It just has to be yours. So many of us think transformation comes from doing more, but often it comes from doing less more consciously. And here's what I found. The more I protect my mornings, the more I protect my peace. When I start the day centered, I respond instead of react. I make choices from clarity, not chaos. That's the quiet power of a mindful morning. It's not flashy, but it's foundational. So today, ask yourself, what's one small shift I can make tomorrow morning? Can I wake up 5 minutes earlier? Can I start with breath instead of a screen? Can I move or sit or reflect before the world demands my attention? Because when you build a morning that builds you, you don't just change how your day feels, you change how your life unfolds. Start simple, start sacred, start with you.
Set one clear intention each day. Let's be honest, most of us start our mornings already overwhelmed. Before we even get out of bed, our minds are juggling a dozen things. Emails to answer, errands to run, deadlines, groceries, notifications, the pressure to be productive, and the guilt if we're not. Sound familiar? We wake up and immediately feel behind, scattered, or stressed, as if we're already sprinting a race we didn't choose to enter. But what if there was a different way to begin your day? A way to clear the mental clutter, reclaim your focus, and move through the day with calm direction? Here's the practice. Set one clear intention, just one. Not 10 goals, not a never-ending to-do list, not a page of tasks you'll never finish. One. Simple, intentional. In Buddhist philosophy, there's a concept called ekagrata, which means one-pointed focus. It's the practice of directing your mind to one thing fully, with clarity and presence. And it's powerful. Because when your mind is scattered in 50 directions, nothing gets your full energy. But when you choose one thing to center yourself around, it becomes your compass, a quiet thread that keeps you grounded, even when the world gets noisy. So how does this look in real life? Instead of saying, I need to finish 10 things today, try something like, today, I will move with patience. Today, I will speak kindly. Today, I will focus fully on what's in front of me. That single intention becomes your quiet guide. Let's say you chose, today, I will remain calm. When traffic gets bad, when a coworker says something rude, when your plans fall apart, instead of reacting out of habit, you remember, oh right, I set my intention, calm. It doesn't mean you won't feel irritated, it means you'll have a moment of choice, a chance to respond with awareness instead of automatic emotion. This is the power of living with intention. It doesn't control your day, it shapes how you move through it. Now, here's the important part. Your one daily intention doesn't have to be grand. It doesn't need to impress anyone. In fact, the smaller and simpler, the better. This is not about pressure. It's about alignment. Let's go deeper with a simple metaphor. Imagine walking through a dense forest. There's no trail, just trees and confusion. Every few steps, you change direction. You move, but don't progress. Now imagine there's a clear path.
You still walk the same number of steps, but now you know where you're going. That's what a single intention does for your mind. It doesn't eliminate effort, it gives your effort direction. Without it, you might check a dozen boxes but still feel empty at the end of the day. With it, even a slow day can feel meaningful. Here's a personal reflection. When I started this practice, I chose one small intention each morning before I opened my laptop. Some days it was listen deeply. Other days, breathe before I respond. What surprised me most? It actually reduced decision fatigue, because I had one anchor to return to again and again. And over time, I noticed something even deeper. I wasn't just doing more, I was becoming more present, more patient, more real. That's what we're after here. Not productivity for the sake of it, but purpose, peace, awareness. So here's your gentle challenge. Before you rush into the next morning, pause. Ask yourself, what is one intention I want to carry with me today? Write it down, say it out loud, hold it close. And when the world starts pulling you in 100 directions, come back to that one. Let it guide your choices, your tone, your time. You don't need to do everything. You just need to live with clarity. Because one mindful intention can create a more peaceful day and a more purposeful life.
Break the pattern, not yourself. Have you ever had a day where you just felt stuck? Not because something huge went wrong, but because everything felt dull, repetitive, lifeless. You wake up tired. You go through the motions. You react the same way to the same things. And you end the day wondering, why do I feel so disconnected from myself? Let me offer a gentle truth. You are not broken. Your patterns are. Most of what we call being stuck isn't a personal failure. It's a signal, a message that you're living in an old loop, a routine that might once have served you but no longer fits who you're becoming. Buddhism teaches that suffering often arises from unconscious repetition. We fall into cycles. We check our phones the second we wake up. We speak without pausing. We fill every free moment with noise, activity, distraction. Not because we choose these things, but because we've repeated them so often they've become automatic. But here's the good news. Patterns can be broken. And when you break a pattern, even a small one, you create space for something new. Let's make this real. Let's say every morning you reach for your phone before you get out of bed. You scroll social media. 30 minutes pass. You feel anxious, behind, unsettled, and your day hasn't even started. What if, instead, you replaced that first 30 minutes with stillness, or movement, or breath? That one shift, small as it seems, can completely reshape your mental state, because you're no longer reacting, you're choosing. Another example, maybe every time you're stressed, you lash out, or shut down, or binge on something that numbs the feeling. Instead of judging yourself, ask, what's the pattern here? What happens right before I act this way? What would it look like to pause, just for a breath, and choose differently? Buddhist philosophy calls this dependent origination, the idea that every thought, emotion, and behavior arises because of something else. Nothing just happens. Everything has a cause. And if you change the cause, you change the outcome. So, if you feel stuck right now, here's what I want you to know. You don't have to overhaul your entire life. You don't need to force a breakthrough. You just need to make one conscious shift. Not from punishment, not from guilt, but from compassion. Because real growth isn't violent. It's subtle. It's steady. It's kind. It looks like turning your phone off an hour earlier at night, taking a walk instead of doom scrolling, saying no when your instinct is to please, breathing when your body wants to react. And over time, those micro changes create a macro shift. You build new patterns,
ones that support who you are now, not who you used to be. Here's the key. Don't try to break yourself just to change. Too many people mistake self-criticism for discipline. They push, they punish, they tell themselves they're not enough until they change. But transformation that lasts comes from gentle disruption, not self-destruction. So the next time you feel stuck, don't spiral into shame. Pause, observe, ask, what pattern am I living in? And then, what small choice can I make today to shift it? Because when you break an old pattern, you're not just changing a behavior, you're opening a door to freedom, to growth, to a better version of you. You don't need a revolution, you just need a breath of awareness. And that's enough to begin.
Manage your energy, not just your time. We live in a world obsessed with time. We track it, schedule it, count it. How many hours did you work today? How fast did you finish that task? How much can you squeeze into your calendar? But here's a radical idea. It's not about how much time you have, it's about how much energy you bring. Think about it. Have you ever had an entire day free but still couldn't get anything done? You had time, plenty of it, but your mind was foggy, your body heavy, your motivation low. Now flip that. Have you ever had just one focused hour, and in that short time you made real progress, felt aligned, and created something meaningful? That's the difference between managing time and managing energy. In Buddhist teachings, presence is everything. The more present you are, the more powerful your actions become. But presence requires energy. And energy, unlike time, isn't constant. It rises and falls. It shifts throughout the day. So instead of trying to force productivity into every hour, what if you listened to your natural rhythm? Ask yourself, when do I feel most alert and creative? When does my focus naturally fade? What activities drain me? What restores me? For some people, morning is golden. That first stretch of quiet hours holds clarity, direction, and drive. For others, energy peaks in the afternoon or even late at night. The key is know your rhythm, then work with it, not against it. If your clearest thinking happens between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., don't waste it on emails or meetings that could wait. Use it to write, plan, create, or reflect. If your energy dips after lunch, don't fight it with more caffeine and stress. Use that time for lighter tasks, gentle movement, or quiet space. Because when you align your actions with your energy, you stop forcing and start flowing. Here's another piece to consider. What drains you? Is it cluttered environments? Is it multitasking? Is it spending time with people who constantly complain or demand too much? Every time you give your energy to something that doesn't nourish you, you have less to give to what truly matters. So part of managing your energy is protecting it. Just like you wouldn't pour water into a leaky cup, don't pour your energy into habits, people, or obligations that leave you depleted. Instead, ask yourself, what energizes me, even after a long day? Who are the people that light me up instead of wear me down? What spaces help me feel calm, clear, and recharged? Let those be your compass. Now, let's not pretend this is easy. Life is busy, responsibilities are real. But even within that, you can shift your approach. Instead of saying, I need more time, say, I need to protect my energy. Instead of asking, how can I get more done, ask, how can I show up with more focus and presence in what I'm already doing? Because presence plus energy equals impact. It's not about working more, it's about showing up fully. And showing up fully doesn't mean you're always on. Sometimes showing up means choosing to rest. It means recognizing when your mind is tired, when your body is asking for a pause, when your spirit needs silence more than stimulation. That too is sacred. So here's your gentle challenge. Today, instead of trying to track every minute,
track your energy. Notice when you're clear and use that space for meaningful work. Notice when you're drained and choose rest over resentment. Notice what lifts you up and what pulls you down. Because the truth is, managing your time might help you check more boxes. But managing your energy, that's what helps you live with depth, presence, and purpose. And that is what creates a life that feels full, not just busy.
Clean your environment without mercy. Let's talk about your environment. Not just the clutter on your desk, not just the noise in your inbox, but the entire space around you, physically, mentally, emotionally. Because whether we realize it or not, your environment shapes your mind. You can have the best intentions. You can read every self-help book, journal daily, meditate, set goals. But if you're surrounded by chaos, noise, and negativity, it's like trying to plant seeds in toxic soil. In Buddhism, we're reminded that everything arises in dependence. Your thoughts, your moods, your actions. They don't come from nowhere. They are deeply influenced by what surrounds you. So let me ask, what's in your environment that's silently draining you? Look around your physical space. Is your home filled with things you don't use or love? Are there piles of paper, half-finished tasks, distractions everywhere you look? Clutter isn't just visual, it's energetic. Every object in your space is like a silent demand for attention. And the more your space is stuffed, the less your mind can breathe. Now, look at your digital space. Are you constantly bombarded by notifications, ads, headlines, and noise? How many hours a week are lost to scrolling, clicking, reacting? Every ding, every alert, every feed refresh, it steals a little bit of your focus, your peace, your clarity. And it's not just physical or digital. What about the emotional environment you're living in? Who do you spend your time with? Are they people who uplift you or drain you? Do they support your growth or keep pulling you back into drama, gossip, or old stories? It's not always easy to admit, but some environments, some relationships are simply not aligned with who you're becoming. And here's where the hard truth comes in. If you're serious about growth, you need to clean your environment without mercy. That doesn't mean becoming cold or ruthless. It means becoming clear. Clear about what helps you expand and what holds you back. You don't have to move to a mountaintop or live in a monastery, but you can create a space, both inside and out, that supports your peace. Here's how to begin. 1. Start with the physical. Pick one drawer, one shelf, one room. Ask, do I need this? Does it serve me? Let go of what's just taking up space. As you clear your physical surroundings, you'll start to feel your mind clear too. 2. Audit your digital life. Turn off notifications that don't serve you. Unfollow accounts that make you feel anxious or less than. Create tech-free spaces, your bedroom, your mornings, your meals. Protect your attention like it's sacred, because it is. 3. Reflect on your emotional space. Ask, who brings peace into my life? Who adds pressure or noise? It doesn't mean cutting people off harshly, but it might mean creating gentle distance, setting boundaries, or choosing more intentionally who you share your energy with. 4. Finally, check your inner environment. What thoughts are you feeding yourself each day? Are you kind to yourself? Or are you carrying criticism, doubt, and fear? Cleaning your environment also means cleaning your self-talk. Because here's the truth. You can't build a peaceful life on top of internal and external clutter. You have to clear the way. And it starts with intention. This isn't about perfection. It's about alignment. So ask yourself today, what in my environment is not helping me become who I want to be? Then start removing, piece by piece, thought by thought. Clean space, clear mind, supportive people, honest boundaries. That's the foundation of growth. Because the more you protect your space, the more power you give to your peace. And in that peace, you rise. Make discipline your love language. Let's talk about a word that makes a lot of people cringe. Discipline. For many of us, discipline feels harsh, rigid, strict, like something imposed on us to control or punish. Maybe it reminds you of early mornings you didn't want, of rules you didn't choose, of pressure without compassion. But what if I told you that discipline, when understood through the lens of mindfulness and Buddhist wisdom, can actually be an act of love? In Buddhism, there's a concept called sila, often translated as ethical discipline. But it's not about force. It's about intentional care, about living in a way that supports your well-being, protects your clarity, and honors your deeper values. In this light, discipline isn't something you do to yourself, it's something you give yourself. Let's break that down. If you love someone deeply, what do? You take care of them. You make decisions that protect their health, their peace, their path. You say no to things that might harm them, even when it's hard. You hold them to their highest potential, not to pressure them, but because you believe in them. Now, what if you treated yourself that way? That's discipline as love. Waking up early to stretch or meditate isn't punishment. It's you choosing presence over chaos. Saying no to distractions isn't about deprivation. It's about protecting the limited, sacred energy you have each day. Eating with mindfulness, resting on time, keeping your promises to yourself, these are not restrictions. They are acts of devotion to your own well-being. But here's the thing. Discipline doesn't mean perfection. That's a trap too many of us fall into. True discipline isn't about never falling off track. It's about gently coming back again and again when you do, with patience, with care, with the same compassion you'd offer a friend who's trying their best. You're not a machine. You're a human being with rhythms, emotions, and real challenges. So discipline, when rooted in love, is flexible, not forceful. Let me share a personal reflection. There was a time when I used to push myself from a place of fear of falling behind, fear of not being enough. I had schedules, goals, routines, but they felt heavy, not nourishing. And then one day I asked myself, what if I built habits out of love, not pressure? The shift was subtle but powerful. Instead of I have to wake up early, it became I get to greet the day with stillness. Instead of I can't eat that, it became I choose what supports my energy. Instead of I need to be perfect, it became I want to show up fully, even imperfectly. And slowly, discipline stopped feeling like a prison and started feeling like freedom. Because when you consistently care for yourself, you build trust. You create stability. And from that foundation, you can stretch, grow, and thrive. So here's your gentle challenge today. Redefine discipline. Ask yourself, what does it look like to love myself through action? What small habit would support my peace, not just my productivity? What would change if I view discipline not as pressure, but as a gift? Because when discipline becomes your love language, you stop abandoning yourself when things get hard. You start showing up, not just for your goals, but for you. And over time, that consistency builds something deeper than motivation. It builds inner strength, not because you forced it, but because you chose it over and over again with love. Reflect before you rest. Let's be real for a moment. Most people end their day in one of three ways: exhausted, overstimulated, or completely disconnected from themselves. We collapse into bed with a tired mind and a heavy heart. We scroll until our eyes blur. We drift off to sleep thinking about what went wrong, or what we didn't finish, or what we wish we had done differently. Sound familiar? But what if I told you there's another way to end your day? A way that's not about pressure, performance, or perfection, but about presence. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that the end of something is just as important as the beginning. And how you close your day shapes how you carry yourself into the next. That's why this final practice is so powerful. Reflection.
Just a few mindful minutes at the end of your day to pause, look inward, and ask, how did I live today? What moments made me proud? Where did I fall short, and what did I learn? Think of it like holding up a gentle mirror to your life, not to judge yourself, but to see yourself more clearly. Because here's the truth, without reflection, we don't grow, we just repeat. We stay on autopilot. We react instead of respond. We miss the wisdom that every day quietly offers us. But when we take time to look back with intention, we begin to connect the dots. We notice patterns. We see what drains us, what nourishes us, what aligns with who we want to become. Let me give you an example. I used to end my days mindlessly. TV, phone, sleep, repeat. But I always felt this quiet sense of disconnection, like something important was missing. So I started doing just one thing. Before bed, I'd sit for 5 minutes and ask, what stood out to me today? Some nights, the answer was beautiful. A moment of laughter, a kind gesture, a task I completed with focus. Other nights, the answer was harder. An impatient reaction, a missed opportunity, a habit I slipped back into. But every night, I learned something. And over time, that simple practice became a compass, helping me adjust how I showed up the next day. That's the power of reflection. It's not loud or dramatic. It's quiet, but it's transformational. Here's how you can start. 1. Set aside just 5 minutes before bed. You don't need a fancy journal. You don't need a routine with candles and music, though you can if you'd like. All you need is your attention. 2. Ask a few grounding questions. What went well today? What challenged me, and how did I handle it? What do I want to carry forward? What do I want to let go of? 3. Breathe. Feel. Acknowledge. There's no need to fix anything. Just notice. And let the noticing guide your growth. Reflection is also a form of release. Instead of carrying stress into your sleep, you give yourself permission to set it down. You forgive yourself for what didn't go perfectly. You celebrate what did. And then, with a lighter heart, you rest. This is what Buddhists call mindful closure, ending the day not with worry or regret, but with awareness, compassion, and peace. So tonight, instead of drifting off into distraction, drift into awareness. Let your day speak to you one more time. Listen closely, and let go of what you no longer need to carry. Because when you reflect before you rest, you don't just sleep better, you live better. One day at a time, one breath at a time, one honest question at a time.
Gentle change from within. So, here we are. After walking through these 7 powerful practices, there's one truth I hope has gently settled into your heart. Personal growth isn't about doing more, it's about doing things with more awareness. We live in a world that tells us to go faster, do bigger, chase harder. But Buddhism teaches something quieter, something deeper, that real transformation doesn't come from pressure, it comes from presence. And every day, you have the chance to return to that. When you begin your morning with care, you plant the seeds of calm and clarity. When you set one clear intention, you give your energy direction instead of letting it scatter. When you break old patterns, you make space for new, more aligned ways of living. When you follow your energy instead of just your schedule, you stop forcing and start flowing. When you clear your environment, you create space for your mind and your soul to breathe. When you practice discipline from a place of self-respect, you stop punishing yourself and start protecting your peace. And when you reflect before you rest, you don't carry the weight of the day into tomorrow. You learn from it, you grow from it, you let it go, one breath at a time, one choice at a time. That's how transformation truly happens. Not in some massive, dramatic shift, but in those small, sacred decisions repeated each day with intention. And the beautiful thing is, you don't have to be perfect to begin. You don't need a perfect routine, a quiet house, a special cushion, or years of experience in mindfulness. You just need a willingness to show up. Start where you are, with the breath you're breathing right now, with the thoughts and patterns you already carry, with the truth of this exact moment. Because this moment, this ordinary moment, is your starting point. So if you're looking for a sign to begin again, this is it. Not to become someone else, but to become more fully yourself. To live with clarity instead of confusion, with purpose instead of pressure, with peace instead of performance. Let me ask you, which of these 7 practices speaks to you the most right now? Which one feels like a gentle next step, not because you have to, but because your soul is quietly asking for it? You don't have to do all of them at once. You don't even have to do them every day. You just have to begin with one breath, one intention, one mindful choice. Because that's how real life shifts, not with force, but with alignment. And with time, these tiny shifts start to stack into habits, into perspective, into a way of living that feels authentic and true. That's the gift of this path. It doesn't demand perfection. It invites presence. So, thank you for showing up, for listening, for taking this journey with me. May your mornings be grounded, may your days be guided, and may your nights be full of peace. And above all, may you keep rising gently, not by becoming more, but returning to who you truly are.